Hello, thank you for playing in with the flute.
Hey, good day, Miss Bray. Good day, Miss Bray. What's happening?
Oh, I'm trying to get my thing set up. There we go.
What's going on, Briana?
It's been a crafty day so far.
Oh no, not on Mercury Day.
No, crafting. I've been drawing and like painting.
Oh, I thought you said crappy.
No, no. It's been a good day.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for this. Thank you for agreeing
Yeah,
to this.
thank you for reaching out. I have been wanting to do lives with other people and I always forget to talk to other people.
We gotta reach out. That's what
Yeah,
it's all about.
it's important. It's an important step.
Yeah, yeah. So, Briana, what do you enjoy most about Mercury Day?
Um, I think honestly, I really like the word Mercury a lot. I think it's really pretty and
Mhm.
it goes so well with like the communication of the day and how it's a day of communication. Just like that really beautiful, eloquent kind of style flows with the word Mercury. And I feel like that's such a nice little bow to wrap it up with. And it's so cute.
Yeah. And speaking of wrapping things up in bows, and like you said before, today has been a crafting day. You've been getting really crafty. So what have you been crafting?
Not really crafting anything in particular. I'm in a rest period right now. So I'm just letting I really like to create. I'm always in creative energy. But today, yesterday, the day before that, my creative energy was really restless. So it doesn't really have like a set, doesn't know what it wants to be yet. So I'm just letting it flow, however. So I got this like paint by number mandala,
Yeah.
uh, which I said no on the paint pots and I just started coloring it in with markers, which has been
Okay.
much better. But me and my roommate have been doing that yesterday and today, and just listening to like little podcasts and having a fun time being roomies, doing roomie things. She just got back from France, so we have some catching.
Nice. So I'm sure she got plenty of stories coming from France.
Oh yeah, yeah.
France. Voulez-vous? Oh man. That's lovely. That's lovely. And being in that creative vibration, being in that sacral chakra, like you said in one of your videos, the color orange. Orange is my favorite color. And that was before I even knew about the sacral. I even knew about that creative energy that was always flowing through and flowing to me. And when you talk about, mandalas as well, are those kind of like yantras, the things that people look at and the things that kind of have a vibration, they have a frequency, like mandala?
Yeah, yeah, they're like a pattern that like repeats itself.
Okay, okay. Awesome. So that definitely is like packed with energy, and you were putting your energy into it. through-
Yeah, coloring it.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Wow. When it comes to sometimes we can be restless, and sometimes we need to be more restful. Having that creative energy center, what do you call a creatrix? Because I haven't heard that term too often. What is a creatrix?
A creatrix is like the female noun. I literally just looked it up today because I just put it in my bio. But it's the female noun of creative. It's a female being that's tapped into their creative energy and flows through that creative energy and expression. So,
Hmm. Okay, okay. And how did that speak to you? How did you receive that when you selected that word for something that you wanted to embody?
I don't know. I operate from my sacral a lot, so kind of just like letting the just whatever flows to me flowing through that without I don't really engage the thought centers too often in decision making. I don't know if you know much into human design, but those centers are closed or not closed, but they're well actually they're open. They're undefined for me, and the other ones are defined, so I have a set way of operating in those. So I let my intuition guide me,
Mm.
And some words will just start appearing a bunch in my life, and creatrix has been appearing a lot. Um, so I was like, let me integrate this into what I'm doing because that's an energy that I'm already embodying, and there's a word for it, and I can connect with people through that. So
Right.
that's where that came from.
Awesome, awesome. I love the way you flow. It's like it's cool to see you go, even when you're moving and
Oh,
grooving. Like even in conversation, you're very expressive with your body. So it's true, you know.
yeah, I wiggle a lot. I'm very wiggly.
It's within everything that you do. And when you talk about, the human design, Brianna, I find that it's very fascinating to learn more about ourselves deeply. I'm a 2-4. So which one are you? I'm a
I'm,
generator. Yeah.
you're a manifesting generator?
Well, just a generator. I think it's
Oh,
just a
okay.
generator, but I'm a 2-4 generator. What is
Okay.
yours?
I'm a manifesting generator and I am 6'2".
Okay. 6'2",
Yeah.
that's how tall I am. Wait.
Yeah, I'm tall. I'm tall on the energy spectrum.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, you are for real, because I think we were standing at the almost like the same height. Are we the same height?
I'm 5'8".
Oh, no, no way. Okay, okay. When you came up to me, your energy spoke. It announced itself before your arrival, so it must have been that tall energy. I was like, wait a minute, she wearing heels? That her energy.
Yeah, no, I was barefoot too. I
Okay.
was just,
So
I was
if
like
you're
levitating.
so if you're a 6'2", that means you have the hermit, right?
I
That's
am
you.
a hermit.
But
Yes.
six, what's the six?
I don't remember the six. I think it has to do with guidance. I just remember the title of 6'2" was the exemplary human, which I thought was funny. I was like, that's a weird one. But then I saw another one that was like the role model hermit, which I felt was better. I was like, I don't know if I fit with the exemplary human, but the role model hermit is so me.
Wow. Wow. The role model hermit. So you're like the way shower.
Yeah.
You're the way shower. You show other people the way. You're like a beacon of light for the ships lost at sea, but you're able to reside within that hermit space.
Yeah, it's kind of like I have to operate through the hermit to reach the role model. So I have to experience these things and like live through them before I'm able to like alchemize it to support and guide other people through the same similar experiences.
Yeah, that is so cool, Bree. You know, and it's cool that having those undefined centers makes you an even better guide. You know, a better diviner. Like you, what is that? How do you pronounce that? The divination or the diviner?
The diviner, yeah. So I'm really into kind of the gateway between like the known and the unknown. So moving into like taking that first risk, that first leap. And divination is super, super important in being able to guide yourself through that, through taking that first step into the unknown, because you really have to trust in self and trust intuition to guide you while you operate in the unknown. Um, and so like diviner to me is very much like a guide, somebody who understands like that relationship with intuition and transversing. What?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like coming. It's Mercury Day. These words are just popping up out of nowhere.
uh,
But but yeah, just like moving through the unknown, it's very important to have that connection to intuition. So being able to guide people in finding their intuition, because it's difficult, kind of like that idea of you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So like teaching somebody to find the water as opposed to leading them to the water.
hmm,
Yeah, that
I love that.
that's going out.
Excited. What even excited you about embarking on that journey of the diviner to be able to guide someone to their own intuition? What excited you about that path?
I don't know. I think I've always been just innately a teacher. I've always been into that set archetype for myself, like being able to, and not necessarily like a teacher, like the teacher is as much as the student is the teacher. Like it's an equal exchange. Like we learn from each other equally. Um, but being able to guide somebody through that and watching them, oh, that's my favorite thing. Providing like the sustenance that they need, the nurturing that they need to blossom into whatever they're going to become.
Mm,
Like whether the ideas are similar to mine or not, just being able to see like this new, just growing and flourishing, and I don't know. I just like it. That's my favorite thing. I love seeing people get to that point. I love being able to lead them as much as I can to a space where they're able to guide themselves
oof,
from there on.
oof. This is so awesome. So amazing. I love that. You know, what you said is so poetic. That's like poetry. You know, providing the nourishment, the sustenance that they need to blossom into whatever and whoever they're going to become. You know, we may not know what that is, you know, what
Yeah,
that, but it's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
You might not be able to see all the flowers that you plant, but you plant the seeds. I think that's really important. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people get stuck on wanting to like plant these seeds and water them and care for them so they grow in a very biased way. Like they kind of want to it's moving from a place of like selfishness, teaching from a place of selfishness versus teaching from a place of just like interest in the other person. And I
Yeah.
feel like we really need people and teachers that are like that, like guides who want to operate in everyone's frequency as opposed to like teaching you biased.
Right. 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 So less selfishness, more interest, you know,
Mhm.
less self-serving and more integrity.
Yes, self-serving, exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a, you know, what a noble path to have. And when you spoke earlier, Brianna, you talked about the role model hermit. Were there any role models in your life that you looked up to when it came to being a teacher? You know?
Probably not. A lot of my childhood was in a survival like setting.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of it I had to turn to myself to figure things out. Definitely like my mom played a huge role. She was very important in just my actual survival. Um, but she always provided that not so much emotions, she provided logic. So whenever we were going through situations, she would explain them to me. So I
Mm,
understood all my options and all my choices and all the things that were happening. And then I would be able to make my own decision from there. So I think being able to have that independence that she was able to give me, not necessarily in a role model type way, but still being a guide for me at the time. To kind of blossom into my own being. And I think that is where I developed a lot of like my ideas around teaching and leading and like bringing people into those nourishing spots and letting them blossom.
yeah. Yeah. Ah, man. You know, one of my favorite quotes, Brianna, it said, when the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom, you know? And
Hmm.
when you look at these flowers, you know, when you look at different flowers and each has its own hour,
Oh,
each has their own power, you know? And it's like you can't force open a flower, right?
yeah,
It has to blossom and bloom in its own divine timing. So I think that's wonderful that you were able to grow through what you go through. And at the same time, you were able to find within yourself how to find your own intuition. You learned how to work with your own intuition. So that makes you an even better guide to learn or to help someone else do the same because you had to do it in those survival situations, as you put it, you know?
yeah. I would actually even confess that I barely started listening to my intuition. I was taught how to, like, through those survival situations, I was taught how to be aware of all the options and kind of choose the best one for the situation. But I had to go through some recent situations where like my trust and my intuition was put to the test, and I failed it for a while. But one day I was like, no more. I don't care about this. I was in a very toxic relationship, and I was like, I don't care about this relationship anymore. We're gonna break up regardless. I don't care if I'm wrong or if he's wrong. Like, we're done. I can't not know anymore. So I started listening to my intuition from after that point. I would say that was my peak crazy. But and then recently I had just been in a mentorship program myself with a woman named Liz. She's amazing. But throughout that mentorship, I kind of just like went in it. I went in blind. Um, I kind of just gave myself up to the flow and surrendered. And throughout the mentorship, I learned a lot about my intuition because I seek structure a lot. A lot of times I want some kind of structure, and I always think of myself as chaotic. And that journey allowed me to kind of switch the narrative I had in my mind of that and move it from like looking at it as I need structure and I'm chaotic to being like, oh, I'm looking at myself through somebody else's perspective and the lens of society and how I should be acting when I really need to be looking at it through my own lens and like alchemizing my powers in a way that works for me instead of forcing some kind of structure that doesn't work, that hasn't been working. Um, so yeah, flowing through all that, got more in touch with my intuition from that. And I just finished that mentorship recently, so we'll see. We'll
Wow.
see how that turns out. I feel like my intuition is like that right now, but
Wow. So, oh my goodness. You know, like all flow and no force. It's been more flow, less force. And you say that you've only learned just recently, you made that confession to really trust your intuition, to really double down on you, to bet on yourself. Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
And it was a relationship that really was a catalyst for that, you'd say?
Yeah, that was the major catalyst into a lot of my spirituality actually. It was back in 2020 when like the whole world shut down. Um, and I really found myself in a place where I was like, what am I doing? Like, what is this life that I'm living? I'm just like kind of chasing these things that I didn't have passions. I didn't have any self-exploration. I was like moving still in that trauma mindset, and like still forcing myself to live through traumas that I didn't need to anymore. So like taking that moment that I remember the feeling of it too, like how you were talking about how you can't force a bud open. It's the risk of like how painful it is to stay in the bud versus the possibility of like blossoming. And I that perfectly describes like the feeling I had in that one moment of like logging in. I was like, I don't care. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that definitely catapulted me into a lot. It helped me release a lot of things that I needed to release, and then I was able to make room for new things. I was able to kind of just jump into self-exploration for the past couple years. Um, and in self-exploration, I found what nurtures me, what my passions are, where I want to go. And that's going to be a forever journey. Self-exploration is a constant thing. And my passions are going to change, and like how I want to serve other people are going to change too. But I know how to operate in the frequency of love now. So no matter what I do and no matter what I create is always going to benefit the other people, which I'm excited for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Brianna. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for allowing us to see you, allowing us to hear you. And when you talk about too the traumas that you found yourself reliving or going back to those traumas or revisiting, would you care to share, like what was it something through childhood or something that happened, anything that you care to share that you had to revisit or you found yourself going back to?
Yeah, so when I went through a lot of different traumas as a child, I was abused by my father in every possible way. And when I got older, I had this really I had I'm still journeying through this healing of the masculine. I have a lot of trauma around the masculine. Um, so I've been on a journey of healing that, and for a while, I was a sex worker. I was a stripper. Um, and I thought that was the damn life. That's something like I wanted, like, I remember when I was little, I watched Coyote Ugly and I was like, I want to be like those girls. I want to be like the girls in this club who like dance and have fun and like, sure, everything around them sucks, but like they have each other and they have this unity and this group identity with them where they like support each other. And that's something that um, I really wanted to like capture at some point in my own life. And so I went into stripping, I went into sex work, and for a long time I had like this really annoying like savior complex thing around it where I was like, oh, I'm not doing this because like I want to make money or this is my passion. I want to do it so I can be around other women and like help them out of the situations that they're putting themselves in. Like, meanwhile, I'm doing the same damn thing. But but yeah, I really burrowed into my trauma through that work, through especially my trauma around the masculine. I continued to be in that vibration, and operate in that vibration, even though I had the ability to come out of it at that point. Um, and I was coming to a point where I would be able to process the things that I had gone through as a child, because you're not always able to process, and those things will keep coming up until you are able. Um, and then so when the pandemic hit and all that stuff happened, and then the government started paying my bills with unemployment, I was like, I don't need to be in this anymore. I don't need to do this anymore, because eventually it turned into money. It turned into all about the money. These are like, I can go shopping whenever I want, and it turned into just chasing habitual comforts and pleasure seeking, instead of actually like discovering something deeper that I was really drawn to. Um, and so there were a lot of distractions going on and a lot of noise. And once that all silenced, I was able to kind of have my dark night of the soul and like travel through these different things that had always interested me that I always like kind of ignored because I didn't have a place to explore or express them when I was younger. So I don't even remember the original question. I just be talking.
I mean, that was no, that's exactly what I was asking, you know? And, that exploration and the avenues that you took to be able to explore that even more fully and to open yourself up to, it seems there was a need around empowerment, around support, around community, around togetherness with other, and then also not only being around the feminine, but then realizing the masculine energy and how that looked. So did it put a new spin on things when you were in that environment? Did it open you up in a new way to be able to have that perspective?
Yeah, sort of. I I had such a weird experience through it all because a lot of things about like I was 20 to 24. So I like went through a lot of like personal changes. You grow a lot in those years, you explore a lot. And you learn more about yourself. You establish yourself more as an adult. So I was like going through that while also going through those experiences also. And it helped my ability to stand up for myself and advocate for myself and build understand where I needed to be protective of myself and where I was able to be more gentle and more open. And there were definitely like clients I had who were really awesome, like who literally just wanted to sit and talk. And like being able to be in that space of like, I don't know, it was weird because kind of like at the time, clients were just there for money. Like we were just using them for money. We were both getting something out of it. Like they got a naked woman, I got money. Um, and so there was always this kind of like manipulative subtone. That's the word I decided to go with. But there was like a manipulative undertone. There we go. That's
Like,
who I was looking for. Yeah, and so whenever I met certain clients who like really just wanted to talk and just wanted like somebody to hold space with, and see as a person, that was really interesting. That was, yeah, that was a there were a lot of interesting things that came up from those clients, and like
Did you not expect that?
I didn't, no. Most of my clients were kind of trash. A lot of them, a lot of times I had to be mean, I had to be aggressive. I had to like really stand up for myself in those situations. And I ended up kind of standing up for the people around me too, like other girls when they came in. A lot of girls come in when they're like 18, and they like just got out of high school and they're like, I'm just here to make money. And like they go into these very unsafe situations, and they don't know that they have like autonomy there. They don't know that they can say like, don't touch me, or they can say like, relax, leave me alone, I'm leaving, I don't like you talking to me like that, things like that. They don't know they can advocate for themselves. So I started taking on that role, and I was able to explore that too, where I was kind of became like a protector of the people around me also. Um, and then on the flip side, I had these other clients who were like bringing me in and like wanting to provide a space for me to like grow. And they were like interested in the things I was talking about. They were like, "Oh, well, what are your interests?" And I was like, "I don't know what my interests are." And they were like, "Oh, well, figure them out. What do you mean? Like, what did you go to school for? All this other stuff." And I was like, "Oh, you want to know me as like a person?
Yeah.
Like, what?" And so like being introduced to that energy in those situations, I kind of like it was really interesting. I was like, here I am, not expecting to be talked to like a human being, and I'm being talked to like a human being. What?
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine. Imagine. Wow. So you were able to swap roles, Brianna. So you
Yeah.
swapped roles. There were times when, you were doing what you needed to have to be the provider, but then there were also times when you had to be the protector. You know.
Yeah.
And then there were times where people were projecting onto you, and then there were times where you were like, "No, enough is enough."
Yeah. The energy was everywhere. And that was like we used to do 12 to like 6 shows a night, but well, 6 to 12 shows a night. So yeah, back to back. So I was switching in and out of these roles and these energies like constantly, and it was a lot at the time, but I had the energy back then to do that. I don't have the energy now. I don't even know. I'm like, where did that energy come from? It
Wow.
is foreign to me now. I'm like, rest and relaxation, please.
Wow. And at the same time, Brianna, it seems like that energy hasn't really dissipated, but it's been transmuted. Like you've alchemized that energy and now it's flowing and growing in all your other pursuits, And like whatever endeavor you choose is more fulfilling for you. Because I could imagine that there were times when you might have felt drained, or there were times when you might have felt used or even abused with, that kind of attention. Whereas the divination, the diviner, the guidance, how does that compensate, or how does that measure up and compare to the dancing and to that frequency?
So I would say they're both forms of medicine for me. So dancing has always been very important in my life.
Yeah.
I was a dancer when I was little. My mom was a dancer. I did ballet for a really long time. My mom was a belly dancer. Um, it's always been kind of a place for me to just flow and be. And I eventually turned my medicine into something that burrowed deeper into my traumas. And I
Mm.
wasn't able, for a while after I stopped dancing, I wasn't able to dance. I was like, I don't want to go to the club. I don't want to dance. Like, I don't want to go do these things if I'm not making money. Like, I had kind of like corrupted my view of it. Um, and at the same time that that was happening, I started getting into divination. I'd always been really interested in tarot. I'd always kind of noticed signs. I get a lot of synchronicities through like animals, bugs, numbers, like just straight up words, whole ass sentences. I'll like think something, I'll be like, huh, I wonder this, and then I'll turn and there will be a whole answer, and I'm like, wow. Um, so like I had always been interested in that, but I never allowed myself to explore it. And while I was like healing my dancing wound, I started like getting deeper into divination and working with tarot and learning magic and getting into like the occult and the scary stuff
Yeah.
that we had always like I had always been told was evil when I was little. So like getting into that, and I think too, my release of religion. I grew up not super religious. I was allowed. My mom always gave me a choice to either follow or not follow. Um, and I would go because I didn't want to stay at the house with my dad. But I would just go and fall asleep in church. So I wasn't super religious, but in dancing, I was like, well, if religion is real, I'm going to hell because like whoever's up there don't like this apparently. And then afterwards, whenever I got out of that energy, I moved into like getting into magic and like diving into these other things. And I was like, I had this weird like, am I evil? Like, am I doing like crazy things right now? I That was just like a mini thought that I was trained to think. It's not. I don't actually think that, but like diving into these things that weren't necessarily considered good when I was little, and like diving into that where like there's not support from my family for me doing those things, and there's not like there's not an understanding from them either. So like moving into my own independence in both of those elements. Um, yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is deep. So there's so much to unpack here. All right. So
Yeah.
when
Sorry, I talk a lot. I've been going on whole ass little tangents.
I love it. I love it, And each time, each tangent, as you call them, it's more explorative. Like we're getting more pieces to the puzzle, the matrix or the creatrix, right? So
That's what,
when it comes to working with magic, how were you able to break those concepts? Like you said, releasing those religions. And how were you able to break through the barrier of belief of thinking, this is evil? Am I bad for doing this? The guilt and the shame of, am I a bad person? Am I doing a bad thing? The shame and the blame into something that was actually, something really awesome to explore. Because I love how you call yourself an elemental witch, you know?
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I kind of like I didn't really have a lot of guilt or shame around getting into that. Because religion wasn't a big deal to me. It was more so around pleasing the people around me, and staying perfect in like my mom's eyes, and like keeping up this performance role of what she would want because I don't know whatever need I have for that. Um, but I had always been very interested in magic. I remember when I was little, my sister had a tarot deck. So I have a sister, she's 7 years older than me. And she had this tarot deck in her drawer in her room. And we shared a room, so it was my room too. And I used to snoop through her things because I was little. And I was like, I wonder what she's up to. And I remember I found it one time, and then shortly after that, my grandma found out. And my grandma is super Catholic. So when she found out, we just got berated. Like I wasn't even part of this. And she was just like, "You're in it too." And she was going crazy on us. And she was like, basically, when you play with these things, you open a door that can't be closed.
Mm.
And so I was always like, I don't know if I want to open a door that can't be closed. I don't know how I feel about those things. So like that was built up a little bit of fear around it. But as I got older, I've always been more interested in science and like the structure, noticing the patterns of the universe, and being able to apply that to the more mystical things because everything has a pattern. It's just like how well you can scope it out and see it, and then how you relate it back. And so whenever I was getting into magic, I was like, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do everything I always wanted to do. That was whenever I had the dark night of the soul, and I was like, I'm over performing for other people and performing the roles other people expect from me. Look at where I'm at. Like I am not happy. I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want to
Yeah.
do. And then, so I got a tarot deck and I started reading tarot, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I learned that tarot is super underwhelming and it just tells you the things you already know. Um, and and I got into magic. I started learning. I've always been really interested in herbs, and their medicinal properties, and also just like living closer to nature, living more in tune with the way we're supposed to be living, the way that our bodies are designed to live. Because like the outside matrix, society matrix, really disrupts and it creates a lot of distraction to keep us from operating in our highest channel. Um, so so like breaking away from that was a big thing for me whenever I was learning magic and getting into that. Um, and it definitely started with herbs. It started with I got like a plant and then I was like, whoa, plants are cool. I had a lot of fear around plants before that. I didn't like being outside because I was scared of bugs and like I had a lot of limiting beliefs that like did not allow me to go and explore things that like I really like. And so when I was able to release those, I just had like a day where I was like, I am a new person today. And I just released everything. I was like, goodbye X, goodbye this apartment that I live in, goodbye fear of witchcraft and all that stuff, goodbye needing to perform, like all that stuff. Um, and so I was like, I'm gonna learn about herbs. I get like not hyper fixated, but like obsessive over certain things. I really want to learn it. Like, I want to learn everything about it. I obsess over it for like a month and then I'm cool. I'm like, great. I have the knowledge I need to have right now. And when I get back into it, I'll get back into it. And that's kind of what I did with like everything with herbs, with learning how to do magic, with learning the elements, with learning um, tarot, oracle, crystals. What else have I done? Everything, all the things, um, and just creating that little basis of like allowing myself to explore those things and allowing myself to be interested in those things and to do them. Um, and really just giving myself the freedom to be who I wanted to be and explore the things I wanted to explore. And yeah, I ended up being an elemental witch.
Yeah.
I ended up here, and now I work with the elements.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, how cool is that? You know, giving yourself the freedom to be Bree. You know, you're like, I gotta be me, so I'm gonna be Bree. You know, so gracefully and faithfully giving yourself that freedom to just be in that element
Hmm,
and
hmm.
and being in your element when it comes to elemental witchery, elemental sorcery, and elemental magic. Do you have a favorite element, Brianna?
I do. I do have a favorite element. My favorite element is Earth. I'm a Taurus, so I'm like, we're links. We're like on the same freak. Oh my God. I don't know. There's something that pops in my house every once in a while, but I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It pops because of the heat, but like there's nothing around that would pop.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Anyways,
Hey, it's popping. We popping. You know.
yeah. It was like, oh, so Earth is your favorite? What about me? Um, but yeah, I really love Earth. I I think I work with Earth the most. I'm really surrounded by Earth. I have plants
Mhm.
everywhere. Uh, but I also always liked fire. Um, Fire was the element I was most connected to when I was little, which is something I really like to see. I like to observe how we move through our relationship with the elements. So like when I was little, I needed fire. I needed that active, aggressive energy to keep myself safe and to keep myself moving and passionate. I needed to have that element. Um, and then I was always scared of water. I was scared of water for so long. My mom literally enrolled me in swim classes because she thought I wouldn't learn how to swim because I was so scared of water. And I had always had like dreams about water where like tsunami was coming. I had to get my brother off the beach and like any water dream was very stressful. And then recently, in like when I went through my healing journey, and like went through the dark night of the soul and all those things, I learned I really needed to heal my relationship with water. So I started working on that. Water and I are like besties now. We cool. Um, Air is one of the elements I still have a bit of a hard time with. And the way I observe my relationship with air is through my breath.
Mm.
So this is honestly one of my favorite things is watching how you breathe. So like when you inhale, how long is your inhale? And when you hold, how long is the hold? And when you release the breath, how long is the release? And when you wait, when you're in the waiting before the new breath, how long is that? So really like paying attention and being present with your breath cycle to see where is it you struggle with certain things. And I always really held my breath. I breathe very shallow. I have a hard time like breathing deeply. And I breathe out for a long time. Much longer, I would say, than I breathe in. That's not actually what's happening, but you know, that's what it feels like. I breathe out slower than I breathe in. And then I hold my breath for a long time in between the exhale and the inhale. And so the inhale is us receiving,
Yeah.
and the hold between those two is our understanding of the holding of what we receive before we need to release. So my issue tends to be I'm very shallow with receiving. I don't receive well. I'm not very open to receive. I'm much more open to giving, and I'll give and then I hold on before I have to receive again.
Mm.
So noticing where your breath pattern is and how it relates to your energy. I think that's really cool. I'm kind of like getting deeper into air lately. So
Yeah.
we've been bonding. We'll see where that goes. I'm hoping to be like a breathwork master at the end of this, but we'll see.
Yeah, the master of wind, gaining mastery of the wind, mastery of the breath of life.
Yeah. And
You
my name is Bree. So like Bree, Breeze,
right, right.
it's the next step. It's the next step element.
Wow. And Brianna, thank you for that breakdown. Thank you for that wonderful breakdown of the elements and also what they mean to you, how they pertain to you, how they speak to you. And I haven't heard that about the giving and receiving, because when it comes to long breath work or deep breathing, this has definitely helped me. You know,
Oh yeah.
right here has definitely helped me elongate my breath very naturally. And I used to breathe a lot more shallow before, but I didn't know that that also pertains to the way in which that we give and receive. Because I feel like you, I resonate. I'm also a very big giver, but when it comes to receiving, even something as seemingly small as like a compliment, sometimes it's been tough to receive. So that's been my task as well, is learning how to receive things from others. We have to be open, right?
hmm
Right.
Yes, yeah.
So,
And that's how the element of air shows up for us. Um, and our relationship with air shows up.
yeah. Wow. So Brianna, have you ever seen the last Airbender, the Avatar series?
I sure have. That was
Ah,
like my favorite show when I was little. My best friend and I used to sit on the phone together and just talk while watching the episodes.
of course she has. So you got a little bit of Toph Beifong in there. You got the Blind Bandit with the Earth. You got some Azula in there. You fiery with it, right?
Yeah.
But then
Azula was my favorite character.
Azula, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I loved how ruthless she was. I was like,
yeah.
I identify with that. And at the time, that's what I identified with. I really loved that.
And she had conviction, you know.
Yeah.
She was determined. She was focused. She had commitment. She had conviction in all of her pursuits. Wherever her target was, target locked, target acquired. I'm approaching target. Like she was very in
hmm
the spirit of lightning. Her focus. It was so focused that she was able to generate lightning where a lot of other firebenders weren't. They didn't have that intense focus to
Yeah.
be concentrated. You know, yeah. So you resonate with Azula.
She was my favorite character when I was little. I have to watch it again. I don't know who my favorite character would be now. I don't remember him.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's where I'm like split because okay, so I really liked Azula. Azula was my first favorite character. Uncle Iroh was my second favorite character. Like that extreme split down.
yeah.
I was like, I could do both. I could be both.
Yeah. See, I loved Uncle Iroh as well because of the sage wisdom, because he was always giving Prince Zuko, just different principles, different comments here and there, different words of advice. Like there's a Chinese proverb: to know the road ahead, ask those coming back. Ask someone who's been where you're going. They might let you know how to avoid, different potholes here and there. And he was always trying to drop game on Zuko. He was always lacing his shoes up, telling him like, but he also released his expectation. He allowed Zuko to make his own mistakes.
Yeah.
He allowed him to learn on his own through his own path, through his own pursuits. So I really enjoyed that. And one of the things that I loved about Uncle Iroh was the hidden strength. He had hidden strength from episode one, from day one, from season one. This man was like the most powerful firebender ever. And nobody knew it. Like they just thought this humble old man that makes tea and enjoys his tea. But this guy could blast anybody. He was like all that intense energy, but he was humble. He had
Hmm.
ability. He had that serenity, that peace about him. So he had a lot of different qualities within him. And he learned from all the other schools.
Yeah.
He even told Zuko about using the tools that you find through the airbenders, the waterbenders, the earthbenders. Don't just take this discipline and have that be all
Yeah.
encompassing. Be well rounded, be holistic. He was
Mhm.
teaching about holistic. Yeah. Now you got me geeking out. I'm geeking out
I
over
could tell, yeah. I'm like, whoa, you really remember Avatar.
here.
I gotta watch it again.
Like you said, we watched it. That was a religion for a while. That was my religion.
It sure was. That was a great show.
Yeah. Oh man. If I had to pinpoint an element that really spoke to me on that show, it was waterbending. Definitely water. The element Tai Chi, being with the flow, flowing wherever you go. But then also how waterbending could be vicious. They could turn it into ice and shoot like a sharp blade of ice at you, or they could do blood bending and manipulate, the water within our bodies.
The bloodbending episode was one of my favorite ones. I was like, that's what I like to see. That like awareness of the water. I just really liked how like a cartoon that teaches all this wisdom and stuff also like went in as deep as like the water in our body and manipulating that and like the idea of using your power to manipulate somebody else. Um, just like that whole idea of being introduced in a kid's cartoon, like that cartoon was deep.
Yeah, I think it was under the guise of a kids cartoon. It was
Yeah.
put in the role of a kids cartoon, but it was for all ages. You know, that thing it had wisdom for years. It's like timeless. Time.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and they even broke down the chakras, Brianna. There was an episode with Aang and Guru Patik where Aang had to sit down and really go deep and reflect and connect and have that introspection with himself to say, okay, there are some chakras in here that I need to unblock in order to get to the next level. In order to go higher, I have to go deeper. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh man, I could talk for hours. So yeah, Avatar. So playing into the elemental roles of where I see on your reels as well. Your reels really give the feels when it comes to the elements because you're working with the elements in everything that you do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're made up of the elements. They're literally our body. Like our passion, our spark of life is fire. Our breath, our thoughts are air, our emotions and our empathy is water, and then our physical body and our ability to create in this physical realm is earth. And so being able to connect with and channel each one of those elements is really, really, it helps us channel our highest self. It helps us channel our soul, and our passions and our mission here on earth the best way we can. Um, and of course, elements are everything is a like a pendulum swing. So like there's extremes on both sides. You can be extreme in earth or you can be under earth. Under earthed? I don't even know. You can be unbalanced though. You can be too little or too much.
Right.
Um and so finding a balance with each one of these, creating your own connection with it, and really diving into kind of areas that you might feel a little weird with the elements, like my fear of water for so long.
Mm.
Um, Diving into that showed me a lot. It showed me like things that I might not have been able to process just like on my own through journaling or something like that. It was able to show me in like a more tangible way, how my fears of like dealing with my emotions and how my fears of being vulnerable and empathetic show up.
Mm.
Um, And whereas like with fire, I was very into fire. And so that overactive fire energy of being too aggressive, being too quick to burn essentially. Um and then I was also scared of earth for a long time. Not so much earth, but I was like more disgusted by it. Um I didn't like going outside because I didn't like the bugs and I didn't like all these other things. And like seeing that as kind of a disgust for the physical, as a disgust for the life that I had been through for so long, that I didn't learn how to alchemize my powers yet. I didn't know how to change my reality around me yet. And so I felt stuck in where I was and I wanted to become distant from. And then even now with breath, learning how to give and receive, um, and how to work into that and deepening my connection with and just like the balance of that also, so that more abundance can flow to me so that I can flow more abundance outward. So channeling all these things, creating the balance, and like really looking at the elements as a way to, look deeper within yourself and look at how, um, your relationship with all these different aspects of yourself and all your traumas and blockages and like overcoming those. I feel like the elements show us a lot if we just open ourselves up to those signs, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they do. That was beautiful. Wow, Brianna, like so eloquent. I couldn't have said it better. You know, I love how each one of us has that aspect of us that maybe we haven't uncovered or maybe we haven't discovered, and learning how to work with ourselves in that way, just as you illustrated when you learned how to work with your elements. Just as you know, with Aang, the hardest one he had to master was fire, and he had that the compassion of being an airbender and all life is precious and not wanting to hurt anybody, not wanting to destroy anything. And so fire was really tough for him to get down. Whereas when it comes to Korra, in the legend of Korra, hers was air. She knew everything else, but air was the hardest one for her to master. So it was hard for her to learn how to let go, to do the complete opposite, to be able to release, to be able to relinquish, to be able to trust and surrender, to give up like that inner fire at times and just to let herself relax. She didn't know how to meditate, she didn't know how to relax. So understanding that we have these elements within each one of us, we're all the avatar. You're the avatar, you know you're here to bring balance. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I haven't seen The Legend of Korra. I
Okay.
haven't watched it,
I think
but
you would enjoy it. I think you would enjoy
I should.
I think the whole series is on Netflix right now. Yeah.
I'll find somebody who has Netflix. I don't have Netflix.
Oh, you can borrow my password. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
hey.
I got you. I got you. Wow. You know, Brianna, before we go, there's another thing that I love that you do. And I remember I watched a video with you when you were talking about the summer solstice. And you had some wonderful affirmations. And one thing that I love that you do is you affirm. You know, you use the spoken word, you speak life instead of the opposite. You speak life into being, you speak these things into existence. And one of my favorite affirmations that you talked about was, I express my power and I celebrate when others express theirs. You said, I express my power and I celebrate when other people express theirs. So would you please talk about how important it has been for you to express your power, but also to celebrate when other people do the same?
Yeah. Um, this is a this one's deep. Okay. So it's so important to be able to express yourself authentically. When we show up authentically as ourselves, we're able to almost drop my tea. Um, we're able to show up and provide like the the frequency of love is able to flow through us whenever we're expressing authentically through ourselves. Whereas if we perform a role and we're playing a role that somebody else is expecting of us, that's a whole mess. That's all kinds of distracting energies. That's inauthentic energy. It's very blocking to what we're capable of producing and creating with authentic energy. So expression is super important, and being able to have a space and to hold space for other people also to be expressive and be themselves. Um, just celebrating the diversity of all people, because in celebrating diversity, we become closer to oneness. And I know a lot of people, it's difficult because a lot of people see oneness as sameness, um, but it's not sameness. It's the respect of all the diverse expressions that are around us. And so whenever we celebrate each other, we are respecting each other and holding ourselves at our highest and holding other people at their highest so they feel comfortable and open to being vulnerable and to expressing themselves deeper. And when we reach that energy, we are able to create from just like this pure channel straight through our bodies and alchemize that into the reality. And when we're able to create that, we're essentially unstoppable. There's so many possibilities when we awaken to that kind of magic. So first, it has to start with celebrating ourselves. We can't celebrate other people if we don't know how to celebrate ourselves. We can't appreciate the authentic expression of other people if we don't know how to do that for ourselves first. So it's always an inward journey before it's an outward journey. And once you master that, and once you not necessarily master, but once you get comfortable with that, and then you're able to step into these other shoes of being able to celebrate the people around you and be able to hold space for them to learn who their highest self is, and everybody elevates at the same time instead of this previous narrative of like, this is the role we have to play and this is our inauthentic expression and we're capped at this certain level because somebody set that level. So it's really like just taking the cap off and just opening ourselves up to all the limitless possibilities and appreciating again the diversity of all people, and in that we are able to connect and empathize and experience oneness and like just absolute complete love, like unconditional love from all people and source and planet and like all of it. You feel all of it flowing. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Ah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, appreciating the limitlessness, of our being. We're limitless. We're limitless. This is so lovely. This has been amazing, Briana. Thank you so much for this
Yeah.
session. Thank you for being present. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for being unstoppable. Thank you for embracing your magic, embracing the elements and all the aspects that make you you, you know? Thank
Well, thank you for reaching out and for having this conversation.
you.
This
Yeah.
was a great conversation. I was like, whoa.
I'm glad. I'm glad you.
Mercury Day really came through because sometimes I suck at talking.
No, no, it was right on time. You know,
Hmm.
every word was divinely aligned. And
Yeah, it flowed.
if this is somebody's first time seeing you, you know, or if they don't know too much about you or where to find you, where would you like people to go for any services that you have? Would you you know let people know about what you have that you provide?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at earthling.bree. Um, I actually am launching a mentorship today. Everything lined up for the Capricorn full moon. I was like, what? Universe just like unfolds the red carpet for me sometimes, and she really unfolded it for this one. But yeah, I'm doing a mentorship. I decided I wanted to do a mentorship after my mentorship. We were working on it through that. It's called Sacred Rhythms. It's to help us unlearn society's narratives, unblock ourselves, and reconnect to ourselves bodily, emotionally, mentally and spiritually so that we're able to allow ourselves to guide us through um, this life and just connect to ourselves better. It's kind of like that first step in pivoting from the societal narratives and moving into our own narrative that we create. So I'm doing that. I also have jewelry. I make jewelry. I make spell jars. I make spell candles. I just create stuff and sell it. Um, and I'm trying to get into tarot reading. I really just need to finish making that page. I suck at doing like business stuff. That's my pitfall there. That's the thing I need to sit down and just do, but I never want to do. And I'm like, I'm just gonna not do it. And I'm like, I need discipline. Um, so eventually I'll be doing tarot readings also, but for now they're on hold.
Nice.
But yeah, mentorship and my creations are the ways that you can work with me. I also am just always down to chat. I love talking and communicating with people and getting their perspective. I love hearing about other people's perspectives. It's so cool.
Like,
Um, so yeah.
likewise.
Um,
Where did you say people could find your creations? Where can they find the pieces
oh,
you've
also on my Instagram. Unless they're in the Fresno area and they go to Art Hop.
okay,
I either do in person or Tuesday story sales.
got you.
Um, and that's about it because I cannot keep up with Etsy.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And you said the mentorship, it's about unlearning society's narratives, uncoupling that, like reconnecting, you know, breaking that. Yeah.
Yeah, creating a space where we can relearn a lot of the things that we're not taught. So, learning about our hormonal cycles and how that affects our energy, and like not operating in this 24 cycle if we have a 28-day cycle, you know? Um, Learning about our digestive cycle, our sleep cycle, what happens during those cycles, really connecting back with the wisdom that our body holds, that our emotions hold, that our thoughts hold, and that our spirit holds. Channeling all that so that we're able to express ourselves at our highest.
Right. Right. Like you said, if you know, before we go out, we have to go in. You know,
Hmm.
when we go in, that's where we begin. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's how you win. I love it. I love it. So thank you once again. I trust that we'll be able to do this again sometime and hear more from you. And just thank you for shining today. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for opening up this conversation, having some good ass questions to ask. That was that was a well-led topic conversation. I don't even know. That was very well led. That did not, you were on target the whole time. I ramble, so that was cheers to that. And yeah, thank you for opening up the discussion, for opening up the live,
It's a
for
pleasure.
opening up this conversation for other people to experience also.
Pleasure. You know, and speaking of others, you know, thank you everyone who joined here. We appreciate you. Much love. And yeah, till next time, Brianna. Till next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. The day is beautiful. You know?
Oh, yeah. Enjoy the full moon in Capricorn.
Yes,
That's
yes,
some powerful energy.
yes. So enjoy the night as well. Yeah,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
all the aspects. So take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.